What's up, YouTube? Today's episode, we're doing basically a recap of my first PC build. Did the podcast on it, came out freaking awesome. So enjoy the video. If you like it, hit the like button, hit the subscribe, and see you on the next one. Welcome back, everybody. Today we have a good show. Today, we're gonna be talking about my experience with building my first PC. I've never did a PC. I bought this old, I don't know what it was, Dell desktop computer I was using to stream while I played on my Xbox and stuff, and I kept getting like drop frames and high percentage on the CPU and the GPU on that. And I figured I set out to go ahead and build a computer that was able to do that, and by the same time, if I wanted to use it for gaming, I would be able to play Valorant, Call of Duty, Apex, those kind of games. And so I set out I set out with a budget. My budget starting this was $700. $700. Like, I don't want to spend too much on this. I mean, I don't know how much I'm gonna be playing video games on the PC or how much I really am gonna be streaming. So I just set it for 700. So like, all right, cool. It was around Christmas time too. Just beginning of December. I'm like, yeah, I don't want to spend too much money. Gotta buy Christmas gifts and everything. So I set out. I was like, all right, cool. Let's do this. Where to start? To be honest with you guys, I didn't know anything about computers. I didn't know much. I didn't know much. I just knew the basics. So I was like, where to start? So what I did was I just jumped on YouTube, Googled how to build a PC. I Googled that, like, I YouTube that like 50 million times for the past month or two. I was just watching videos constantly, and I mind you, I didn't know what PC part picker was. I never heard of that, and I didn't know about it till I was done with the build. I was like, could use that. So the YouTube videos I would search were like the Linus Tech Tips, that one, the Jay's 2 cents, the Austin Evans ones, the Bitwits. I use those guys, and I would Google budget builds, what they were using. Every time I watch a video, I would just click on that more info tab and see exactly what they were using. And there's one thing I told you was graphics cards are fucking expensive. Excuse my language, but those damn things are expensive. So, like, damn, when I did budget build, I had to figure out where to save money and where to prioritize that money. So, actually, what I'm gonna do is I went to Newegg. Sorry, I'm pulling up my Newegg purchase history because I'm gonna actually run this down and show you exactly what I spent my money on. Because I figure I'm gonna save where I can save. So, with that being said, the first thing I noticed was cool, it's already on there. Was the fact that you didn't have to go crazy on motherboards or PC cases. You didn't have to do any of that. So I decided to start off with the motherboard first because honestly, that gives you. I thought that was pretty important, which I found out later it wasn't as important. So my motherboard I went with was the ASRock. Let's see. I think I'm too close to the mic, huh? The ASRock. Where's that page 2 at? The ASRock B450. That one, to be honest with you guys, is did everything. Still trying to pull up the history here. If you guys in the stream watching this, you see exactly what I'm doing. I'm trying to go as fast as I can here on the you people over there driving, listening to this, wherever you're listening to. Bear with me. I probably will not cut this part out because why? It's just the way I want to do things. So it was an ASRock B450 Pro 4, and with that, I was like, damn. it's good enough, but it didn't have. I wasn't going for RGB everything. I wasn't going for lights all over the place. I didn't need lights all over the place. I figured that my theme was gonna be red. Stop the way red looks great. I think so. I could put lights in there anyhow. So I went to ASRock B450. But the CPU is where I was like, you know what, this is where I want to spend the money. This is where it's gonna be able to actually run what I want to run without lagging and stuff like that. So I went the Ryzen 5. I went Ryzen instead of Intel. I went Ryzen 5 3600. Uh, that one honestly was one after all the videos I researched and stuff. That one was pretty much used the majority of the time. It was used a lot, and I heard a lot of good reviews on it. It was great. I had no issues. So with the memory, this the RAM itself. The RAM itself, I like the red theme. So I went with let me read this off. I just picked it. I just picked it because it was red and it looked cool. To be honest with you, it was the Team T-Force Vulcan Z 16 gig. I did the 16 gig, but I went with the 3000 megahertz instead of 3200. I figured because I wasn't gonna be pushing the crazy graphic. I'll tell you straight, I was not about to spend $500 to $700 on a gaming graphics card that I'm probably gonna be used to run freaking Valorant that basically doesn't even need anything to run. So I wasn't gonna spend so much money on that. So I got those. It was red. It was red and it looked cool. So I picked that one. And then with the actual storage, I decided I'm gonna do it this way. I didn't know what an M.2 was, by the way, until I actually started doing this. The M.2, it was a 500 gig. That was my boot memory. That's where I wanted to start up and all this good stuff. So it was internal memory, 500 gigs. They don't get from. Honestly, I don't even know. It was Crucial. I honestly, don't hold me to that. Never actually watched anybody pronounce it, but that was my internal memory. But the more I researched, everyone had SSDs, external SSDs, those little freaking black squares. In case you haven't seen them, because honestly, I didn't know about those either. They have like 2 or 3 of them mounted in the PC in the actual case, and that's where you actually store your games. Because if you store games on a 500 gig boot up memory spot, an M.2, you're gonna lose memory fast. So I have a Samsung 500 gig, which honestly I went cheap on it because I didn't know how to use it. But I should have won the 1 terabyte, which I'm gonna add. I'm gonna add pretty soon, coming up. But I already almost filled up this 250 gig. So I got that one for the SSD. So next step was my power. Everywhere else, I was like, I don't need 750 watts. I don't need 800 watts. I don't need that much to be pushing what I'm pushing. And now this is what I wish I had a PC parts picker for. Was when you go to it, you click on your things, it'll tell you if that wattage would be good for that. Because honestly, this thing says put like 400 watts, 350. So the one I went with, the Aries Game Power Supply, it was a 500 watt with the 80 plus bronze. 80 plus bronze, I noticed a lot of people are using that. Researched it. That's the one you want. As long as 80 plus bronze certified is the power supply that's dependable, the one you want to use constantly. So that's what I went with, and I got a good deal on that one. Let me go by this list and see what else I missed. So the case had to be important. I wanted it to be see-through, not because I wanted to put RGB, pink, purple, all that crap, just because I wanted to be able to see what I put together on there. And honestly, I'm glad I went with the Cool Masters. It was I don't think I have it on here. It doesn't, but it's basically the Cool Masters makes these cool. It wasn't a mini case. The micro case. It was a regular mid tower case with the plexiglass, not plexi, tempered glass side. It looks freaking cool. I like it. And then that was like $50. So I was like, hell yeah, pretty cheap. So I had most of the parts together. But the thing I waited last to get was the graphics card. Because damn, those things were just fluctuating in prices. There was some for 100, there was some for 200, there was some for 300, there was even some for like 800. That's when the good ones go to 800, 900, $1,000. Like, dude, I'm not spending that much. And so I kept looking. I was on Newegg, I was on Amazon. I went to like websites I never heard. I was even thinking about going to eBay to get a used one, but I was like, hell no, I'm not gonna do that. So the one I kind of decided I wasn't gonna be running. Uh, was it 140 hertz or 120 hertz monitor? I don't have those. I got just the regular 60 hertz, and I wasn't gonna be running some crazy 4K monitors either. So I don't need any of that stuff. The 1440. I was going 1080p is what I'm running. 1080p, and that's kind of what I stuck with. So after doing a bunch of research, I went with the MSI GeForce GTX 1050 Ti. Yes, I know it's kind of old, kind of outdated, but at the same time, it was $189. If I go to Newegg right now, that thing runs about close 300. I don't know how I got it for 180. I kept checking, like, did I get a rebuilt one? How did I get it so cheap? But it was brand new. It was a brand new graphics card 1050 Ti, and I was like, fuck. And so I got all my parts. It took about a couple weeks to get everything in, and I just kept putting the parts together. They came in, and it was fun. The reason, honestly, finding what you were going to need for the PC was the hardest part. Because let me tell you, let me close this up. Putting the PC together, putting the computer together was honestly the most fun. It was not as hard as I thought it'd be. Those YouTube videos I was watching were really good. So someone who's never put a computer together, never freaking torn apart anything, watching all those YouTube videos and getting all the parts together, like, damn, but knock this out. So I put it together. It took me roughly about, I would say, not gonna lie, about 3 hours to put together. Mainly because the hardest part was the motherboard. Mounting the motherboard to the actual chassis. The reason why it took so long because I had no idea what screw out. Those videos didn't show you exactly what screws to use when you put it to the chassis. The motherboard came with like 100 different mounting screws, and I had no idea what was that. But the thing that threw me off was my chassis already came with those screws. So I was trying to use screws that I didn't even need to use, and ended up messing up a couple of threads on some of them. I had to switch them out. But it's the little pan head screws are what you're using. Just so you know, the little pan head screws, not those internal thread ones or the little. You'll see them if you're put together. It's like, yo, it's the pan head screws. Those things will hold your motherboard on the chassis. So that was that. Um, before I put it together, also I forgot to mention, get a damn flash. 2 flash drives I used. I knew the research I did because most of these YouTube videos put it together, but they don't actually show what to do afterwards. Afterwards was like, what do I, okay, I got this thing together. Now what? So you needed a flash drive with the Windows program on it. So you make your little flash drive of Windows. So when you get started, you just pop that in there and get your boot system is going to be Windows. Before you do that, you want to upload a BIOS, update a BIOS. I'm sorry, and I was like, "What the fuck? How to do that?" So, by a couple videos, I saw you download it to a flash drive, get into the BIOS menu, and then it was an easy flash. I was like, "Oh, well, that seems easy." No, I don't. The fact if I didn't do that, it would not have worked right. Secondly, the RAM. So I granted I ran a what did I say, 3,000 megahertz RAM. You actually gotta overclock it because right out of the box it's gonna run 2600, 2200. You actually gotta overclock the RAM so it runs at the speed it's supposed to. Which overclocking, by the way, that's a whole nother. That's a whole nother. I overclocked this thing when I was done. I'll tell you that, and that was nerve wracking for the fact that I didn't want it to put it to settings and then screw my computer completely up so it would never boot up again, which I learned how to take off afterwards. But that overclocking a GPU is a whole nother episode right there. But yeah, so I put the flash drive, I updated the BIOS, I installed Windows, and I overclocked the RAM, and I downloaded the benchmarks. So the main thing was downloading it. I wanted to see how good it was doing, and I don't want to go over numbers because it's hard to go over numbers over this podcast. what numbers I ran and what scores I did. Again, that'll be another episode. I could talk about that some other time on benchmarking. But I ran my benchmarks. I opened up. First game I ran was Fortnite. I opened up Fortnite, and goddamn, that thing looked amazing. Better than granted, I don't even play Fortnite, but I ran it way better than I saw on my Xbox and stuff. And I was like, yo, this thing is legit. So I started downloading games. And right now, to be honest with you, I'm playing Valorant. That's the game I'm stuck on right now. Pretty much, that's the game I ran CSGO and stuff like that, but not really a big fan. But that thing's good for Valorant. And no, I just noticed. That was it. Yeah. That once you do all that and you just personal. Oh, one thing. Those you need a key when you download the Windows. You know those things for buy a Windows key for like $10 or $12. Those are actually legit. I bought a Windows key for $12. If you don't get the Windows key, you don't want to spend $100 on the whole Windows program, the flash drive, everything. Come to key, it's like $100 some, a little bit more. So those ones that say buy a key for like $12 discount, those are legit. I put it in there and got a Windows key and I'm good to go. And to be honest with you, I love that. I want to do this again. Hopefully soon coming up, I want to build another PC. Expensive as hell, but to do it. So I didn't even tell you guys the total amount for the build, $750, because I added on some RGB fans and some lights that I ran through the thing, which I have pictures up on my Instagram. I ran lights around the chassis and it screwed by the RAM with the RGB, the fans, the CPU fan with the RGB. I just ran a strip all around the chassis, and it worked out great. So honestly, guys, it was an awesome experience. I want to do it again. It sounds cool when you tell somebody, "Oh yeah, I built a computer." It's pretty damn easy. it's finding the parts, trying to not spend so much damn money where you're doing it, unless you have the budget for it, of course. And if you do, then badass, rock it out. But honestly, I hope to be putting another PC together soon. I will be recording it, put it on YouTube. I'll just show you the whole process of it, step by step, kind of more in depth, see exactly what I'm doing. But yeah, man, that's pretty much it. It was cool. I recommend it. Honestly, I want to do it for my son to have his own little PC. But yeah, that's enough for me rambling for today. I just want to drop in and share my experience, show you guys how it went. And honestly, thank you guys for listening. Come back next week for another episode. I don't know what I'm talking about yet, but drop my Instagram at Rufus96, my Twitter Rufus96. Drop my Twitch if I start. I play a lot of Twitch. You can Rufus96 there. I'm pretty much Rufus96 everywhere. And just comment me a couple of ideas of what you think you want to talk about. And when I'm recording these streams, these podcasts, you could jump in the stream and kind of your input or any questions or anything, and we can talk about it. So again, I'm done rambling. Appreciate the time, guys. Thank you.